Hey, what's up, fam? Thank y'all for tuning in once again. As always, be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And when you do subscribe, hit the notification bell so every time I drop a video, you will be the first to know about it. So it seems like there is a GOP senator in Florida who's trying to propose a constitutional amendment to ban reparations. Amazing. So let's get into the story because we want to dive into this. So this is from the yahoo.com website by way of the Atlanta Black Star. And it says GOP senator in Florida proposes amendment to ban reparations payments to black residents in the state. A Republican state senator from Florida introduced a constitutional amendment on Monday, November 27, aimed at prohibiting the state and all local level governments from paying reparations to black residents for slavery. Okay, number one, he's a Republican from Florida, and he's trying to introduce a constitutional amendment. So, number one, this goes to show you here, the Constitution. This is why I'm indifferent and don't really care about when someone hollers Constitution. The Constitution says this, we got to follow this, we got to follow that. Now, people want to talk about the Second Amendment. I myself carry firearms. Second Amendment right, legal. You understand what I'm saying? But I think you should be able to do that anyway, just for protection or for hunting or whatever. But when they holler, like I say, Constitution, every time you look up, you'll see a ratification. Or you'll see an amendment being drawn up, proposed, put in. So it's not like the Constitution is cut and dry. They only change it when they seem fit, which is why I'm an advocate of our people getting into politics, but doing it for the right reasons. Actually doing it for the people and not doing it for status, not getting in there and keeping things as it is, to where it's like holding us back as a people. And I do mean black FBA ADOS people. So, and you see right here, a Florida senator wants to propose a constitutional amendment. So, like I say, the Constitution can be changed at any time. So that's why I'm like, people holler that, especially them folks holler about the Constitution. I'm like, man, whatever, because today you'll holler Constitution, tomorrow, if something happens and you don't like it, you'll be back on the Senate floor the next day trying to change it. So it is what it is. And he's trying to prohibit the state and local governments from paying reparations now, which is interesting because reparations was made legal, I guess, allowable on a federal level, but your local governments, they actually also benefited from it, and rich people too. So I'm kind of wondering why he feel like the people that benefited from it shouldn't have to pay for it. It kind of reminds me of, on a different level, like legalized marijuana. It's not legal federally, but states, they can do if they want to, but when the feds get ready to crack down on it, they're gonna kick in all the doors. But a point is, yeah, states, they are benefiting from a loophole in the law, but yet I bet you when the feds come in and want to do some raids and this, that, and the other, they're gonna turn a blind eye to it. So Senator Blias Ingoglia of Spring Hill, who is the former chairman of the state Republican Party, proposed the amendment, which will come up for consideration during the next legislative session in January, with the goal of putting the issue on the ballot in November. With that being said, there's also a court case with a young brother. I can't think of his name. I did a video about him, but his court case is coming up in January. Young brother, I think he's 18 years old, and they're trying to put him in prison for 30 years because he beat up a white teacher's aide because she took his... Well, she went against protocol. Let's just call it what it is. She went against protocol, not knowing, I don't know if she knew about it, didn't know about it, and she suffered the consequences. I so hate that it happened to her, but the brother got a mental illness, like bad. And I mean, he's like high on the spectrum, and they're still trying to treat him like an average everyday citizen who just decided to just beat up on a white woman. It's not right. So hopefully people in Florida, you go down there, you protest, you let your voices be heard. Ben Crump, what's his name? What's the guy name? Got Al Sharpton, people like that. I'm gonna need y'all down there showing y'all faces and fighting for this brother. Yeah. Anyway, with the goal of putting the issue on ballot in November. Okay, so this in Goglia, he's actually from New York. I looked him up real quick. He's from New York, moved down to Florida like in 95, 96, and been running in politics down there ever since. But anyway, he's Italian. So it goes to the reason that he ain't trying to pay for reparations for us. You know what I'm saying? Because Italians would love to tell you that they built this country from the ground up. But anyway, we know better than that. The amendment would, quote, prohibit the state, a county, a municipality, and any other political subdivision from paying compensation in the forms of reparations to an individual who is a descendant of an enslaved individual who lives in the United States before December 6, 1865. Keynote, understand, if y'all do your research, the first known slaves were brought in this country was in 1555. Look it up. However, both the Florida Senate and House would have to approve the measure by a 60% majority vote before state residents would get their say at the ballot box. With that being Florida, I was afraid of that passing. And the reason why that's an issue because, the feds need to pay reparations, but also everybody that benefited from it. Like I say, local government, state and local, they need to have a hand in that. But I think because of Florida and how they vote, they're kind of like Texans here. Like if something like this came up in the Texas Senate and was brought before the voters, I believe something like this would pass. Because that's just how they think. They feel like they don't have to pay for what they owe. But again, it's funny how they decide on who can vote for what when it comes for money. Now you want to leave it to the hands of the people to vote for reparations so you can wash your hands of it. But yet, where is the constitutional amendments to stop giving money again to Ukraine, to Israel, illegal, illegal immigrants, I guess, coming over here from Venezuela? Where is all the laws y'all trying to propose to stop that stuff? Now, you got a couple of cities who are saying that they don't want to be sanctuary cities no more. And mayor, Chicago or New York, one of them, he said that, and all of a sudden the feds on him. Got all kind of investigations coming on him. So it's a dirty world out there, man. It's a dirty world out there in the politics. But again, where is the outcry for this money going to these other people that are not citizens of this country? They say reparations have remained a controversial subject among lawmakers who have struggled for decades to find a comprehensive resolution following the end of slavery after the Civil War. The thing about it was, it's not. It shouldn't be a struggle. It shouldn't be controversial because reparations is actually, a matter of fact, let me see if I can find it. Reparations was actually introduced in 1865. It was called a Special Field Order number 15. And it was passed. It was a federal reparation was passed in Abraham Lincoln, and he got deleted. And then the next president said, "We're not doing that. So give all the land back to the ex-slave owners that you took and gave to the slaves." So it's been around it's been around since the beginning. But when they flipped it and took it away, now you created a problem because. This could have been like not an issue right now if they would have done it back then. But you're talking about some evil people. Talking about some people who put you in slaves, who thought and still to this day, a lot of them still don't look at you as a human being. So what do you expect? Now, it says here the first recorded case of reparations for slavery in the United States was to former slave Belinda Royale in 1783 in the form of a pension, and since then reparations continue to be proposed. To this day, no federal reparations bill has been passed, but like I said, but in 1865, Special Field Order Number 15, 40 Acres and a Mule, is the most well-known attempt to help newly freed slaves integrate in society and accumulate wealth. However, President Andrew Johnson reversed his order, giving the land back to its former Confederate owners. Let me see something else here. Let's see. Some I saw. I wanted to see. Let's see. I want to see where the hell are Quakers. Here we go. Interesting tidbit of information. In the colonial times, the debate on reparations reached as far back as the 18th century, which is 1700s. Quakers, who were some of the first abolitionists in the United States, almost unanimously insisted that freed slaves were entitled to compensation from their former owners. If an owner repented of his sin of owning a chattel slave, he needs to atone for it by making amends. Quakers cited the Book of Deuteronomy, in which owners were exhorted to share their goods with former slaves. So reparations is biblical. It's scriptural. But anybody, for all my Bible thumpers, love to go to church on Sunday, hallelujah, this, that, and the third, no matter what your race or ethnicity is, reparations is scriptural. And so it needs to happen. So if it doesn't happen, this is one reason why I think the downfall of this country is coming fast. Really fast. But it's interesting that you got an Italian man who don't want to pay reparations, because number one, the Italians are known to, since we're keeping it religious, they're Catholics. You know, the Catholic Church, you know how they got rich? One of the ways they got rich was for atonement. See, even the Quakers talked about it, but the Catholic Church got rich when people wanted to repent and atone for their sins and they couldn't, make the trip or whatever. They would take monetary payments from the sinners and would go and pray for them to cleanse them of their sins, cleanse them of their confessions. That's one way how the Catholic Church got so rich. Quakers, I believe, ain't they like an offshoot of the Catholic Church? So they believe, hey, you got to give atonement to to the former slaves. I can't make this stuff up. So my thing is, man, this is why a lot of people are trying to become atheists now, because they see the writing on the wall. It say, during the Revolutionary War, Warren Mifflin advocated for restitution for freed ex-slaves as early as 1778 in the form of cash payments, land, and shared crop arrangements. Gary B. Nash writes that he may fairly be called the father of American reparations. Let's say abolitionists, they wanted reparations, and it keeps going on and on. So that's enough of that. So let's go back to the story here. It said the issue has reignited debate in Washington as progressive Democrats recently criticized President Joe Biden for not taking any meaningful action on reparations since he took office nearly 3 years ago. Remember, Joe Biden said he had our back. Well, not mine, because I didn't vote for him. But he said the African Americans, they had our back and I will have yours. And he ain't done crap for the African American, which is why a whole lot of them are talking about leaving the Democratic Party and going independent and or Republican. We are fed up, and a lot of us have been fed up for a while, and more people are seeing the reality. People of color, I hate that. People of color. It's not people of color. Descendants of slaves, foundation of Black Americans have been turned off for a while because of no conversation at all about reparations. If you're talking about the Black community, Congressman Jamal Bowman, let's say Democrat New York, told MSNBC's Alex Wagner during the interview, but we're spending hundreds of billions of dollars every year on weapons and war, but we can't even have a conversation about reparations. Those are the things that are happening right now. Like saying, people are fed up. In response, White House spokesperson Rodrika Applewhite, dang, who spelled that name? Good Lord, parents ought to be ashamed. Issued a statement Monday, November 27th, saying President Biden believes that the legacy of slavery is a stain on our nation's conscience, and that we must root out the systemic racism. Do I even want to read this whole? Let me go and read it so it can piss y'all off so y'all won't vote for him again. We must root out the systemic racism that continues to plague our laws, policies, and our culture. In line with that goal, the president has supported Congress's effort to study reparations and the continued impacts of slavery. Why you got to study it? It could be as simple as one, kill the taxes for descendants of slaves, period. Give us land, livable land, not the land in the mountains. Talking about land, man, Texas, I forgot how many dang tons of acres out here, but it's a bunch of land out here that just ain't nobody using, just holding on to it. Go on, get that to the brothers. Go on, get them, you know what I'm saying, let them do the farming and all that kind of stuff. See, the problem is, let me tell you what the problem is. And what they're going to have to really do is just say, hey, we're going to have to just, like I say, ratify or amend the Constitution when they say we can't do anything upon give people stuff just on race alone, because you're going to have to be right. You're going to have to. You want to do a lineage based, we can do that, but your best bet is to make it, like I say, race based, but for the descendants of slavery and financial Black Americans, not everybody else who came over here, whose family came over here, like I say, after 1865. But you're gonna have to just change it and say, hey, we owe these people. Let's give them what we owe, so we can clear this debt and we can all move on together. But you're not doing that. You don't want to do that. You want to talk about doing studies. You ain't studied nothing else. You know what I'm saying? Did you study like the redlining? We can look this up ourselves. You ain't got to study. You don't need to spend no hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars study the redlining, with where you put us when we trying to buy houses. No matter if we law-abiding citizens or we criminals, you're gonna put us all together and make us all be criminals. GI Bills. I know brothers, and my grandfather is one of them, who was in the military and took forever to get his benefits. Now, when I say forever, I mean the man was damn near dead when he got them. But nobody else had them kind of problems. The schooling. Forget the separate. Separate is fine, but the schooling wasn't equal. Like I said before in the video, I remember getting books where I'm like the person, one of the last people to sign on the book. I thought it was cool, tell you the truth. But the coolest thing was when you got a brand new book and your name was the first one written. In other words, when you got rich, white neighborhoods, got the 7th edition, and we still on the 3rd and 4th edition. What the hell, man? You know what I'm saying? You gotta, it's some things you can do to fix it real easy. Just say, hey, we gotta take this from y'all. We gotta make this right. But you're not gonna do it. And like I said, reparations should have been done a long time ago. But you know what I'm saying? You're gonna pay what you owe. But they say on the Boondocks, you're gonna pay what you owe, Santa Claus. You're gonna pay what you owe. Let's see. She added that the administration was continued to advance racial equity by investing, keep listening to this bullcorn, investing in disadvantaged communities across the country while emphasizing tremendous gains for Black people in various economic sectors, including home and business ownership. Man, they've been saying this stuff forever. It's like they can't come up with nothing new, nothing better than this. The president's agenda has secured record low Black unemployment, a 60% increase in Black net worth since the pandemic. Well, 60% of nothing ain't really much. Achieved the fastest creation rate of Black-owned small business in over 25 years and expanded access to home ownership and protection against housing discrimination. Let me tell you about them Black ownership businesses that increased so much. He done put in laws and stuff to where now all our small business, these so many Black businesses that he say he helped, he's taking all the money from us. You know, he's making it to where if you make like a few $1,000s on like Cash App and Zelle and stuff like that, which a lot of us, when I go to these vendor events, it's a lot of us there, you know, selling things and using Zelle and Cash App, and this, that, and the third. Oh, He want that money. Used to be like, what was it, like 20,000 or more, something like that. Now he want them little $600. He want all that money, you know, taken from all these black businesses that he done put in. So now he's trying to hit the little man. So I don't want to hear that. You can talk all that and people who don't know can run with it, but it's a bunch of bull cum. It said, what it say, Applewhite said while pointing to no tangible actions exactly by the White House that would move the needle specifically on reparations. Everything is like nothing burgers. Many forms of reparations have been proposed in recent years, including the possibility of individual payments, settlements, fee waivers, and a host of other initiatives to offset systemic injustices that continue to impact the black community hundreds of years after slavery. When you say hundreds of years, you make it seem like it's been a long, long, long time ago. But when there are former slaves who were alive in the early to probably almost mid 1900s, which wasn't that long ago because I was born like in the late 1900s, well, mid-late 1900s, in the 70s. And you had slaves that were still around like 1910, 1920. I got grandparents, well, they're all passed now, but in the last 10, 15 years, but grandparents who worked on, sharecroppers, whose parents were slaves, sharecroppers, things of that nature. And that wasn't that long. It ain't that many generations ago. You may be talking about 3, 4 generations, maybe, since slavery was gone. So don't emphasize hundreds of years ago because it hasn't been. The slavery may have been taken out in 1865, but them people lived long after that. It's kind of like somebody who's abused or assaulted, physically, I'm talking about, as a young child. But the abuse might have stopped when they was 16, 18, 20. But at 60 years old, 40 years later, they'll still be feeling it. 70, 80 years old, they'll still be feeling it. You understand what I'm saying? So it's not, you can't say, oh man, that was 20 years ago. No, they're gonna feel it. And if she have kids, they gonna feel it. And they're not even gonna know why. But it's what was passed down from their parents. So that hundreds of years ago, man, that minimizes the fight. It says since Biden took office, progressives on Capitol Hill have called out the president for avoiding a serious dialogue on compensating generations of black Americans. Man, this dude he's a racist. Why even? Anyway, let's see. Do I want to read the rest of this? No, I don't read no more of this. But anyway, bottom line story, dude in Florida trying not to pay reparations. And dude, you need to pay what you owe. You ain't from Florida. You from New York. So you need to go on back up there and give money to your Catholic church and to your priest so you can build more cathedrals. These big old outlandish buildings that serve no purpose to the people, really. Except for people to atone for the sins they commit every day. But anyway, tell me what y'all think about this story, y'all. Leave your comments below and then share it with the world. And with that being said, like I say, y'all gonna pay what you owe. You're gonna pay what you owe, Santa Claus. You're gonna pay what you owe. And with that being said, I leave you in peace, and I'll see you on the other side.